Welcome to iWRITE Summer Camp TV. I'm Melissa Williams-Murphy, and this is my writing buddy, I the Guy, who also happens to be the mascot at the iWRITE organization. And we believe that all kids are creative and have a story to share. Each week this summer, you're gonna go on a creative adventure with us as we learn how to create characters and stories from professional authors and illustrators. Some of them are even kids. All you need is a pencil and some paper. Now, if you need extra activities to do throughout the week after camp, be sure to visit our website at www.iwrite.org. We have all kinds of creative writing and illustration activities that you can download. So I the Guy, what are we gonna learn today? Awesome. So let's get started. But before we do, let's have all the kids at home meet kids just like them who have become published authors at iWRITE. I love getting to read stories and poems written by other kid authors. I always wonder, where do they get their inspiration? So why don't we ask them? Everyone, grab your brainstorming notebooks in case you get inspired.
Hi, my name is William Patrick Cook, and the places where I get inspiration for my next story are the outside world and books I've read before, especially books I've read before, because I can find a way to have the ideas and the book I've read before and somehow mix them into my story and create something really special. Thank you.
Today we're going to be talking about brainstorming. The name of my poem is called The World Song. The reason why I decided to write about music was just because I love it so much. This is my clarinet. I got a lot of inspiration from it. The brainstorming process is so easy. All you have to do is think about things you know or love a lot. I mean, if I can do it, you guys can too. Good luck, guys.
Hey, I'm Alex Zhang, author of the book Spark. During trying times like these, there's no better source of inspiration for me than reading a good book. But don't let that restrict you. Inspiration comes to me through many different avenues. Anything from a cool song lyric to an engaging TV show.
Hi, I'm Atara and I am an iWRITE author. When I start to write my stories, I brainstorm ideas so it'll be easier for me to write. There are a few things I do when I brainstorm. I make a list of things I like and like to do. I also talk to my siblings for ideas, and I search up photos for inspiration, but it has to be related to my story. I hope my tips can help you when writing a story.
Hi, I'm Ishan Mott, historian at the iWRITE Youth Club, 3-time published iWRITE author, and the chief editor at the iWriter magazine. When I'm thinking of writing a story, I get my inspiration from the simple things in life, like a book I'm reading or a TV show I've been binging. Curiosity about the world around you and an active imagination are both also really important. I also tell myself that every person, every place, and every event has a story and is a story. It's up to me and you guys to tell those stories. Enjoy brainstorming and stay inspired. This is Ishan Mani signing off.
Thanks, everybody. Those were some great ideas. I love brainstorming, and so does I the Guy. You know, anytime I get ready to start writing a chapter book, I may brainstorm for up to a year before I ever start the rough draft to my fictional story. That's because I know that my imagination will be able to create even more ideas if I do some research first? When we brainstorm, research is a big part of the process. The more we learn, the more ideas we'll get for characters, settings, and even problems. These are all important parts to any story. Let's take character, for example. What if I wanted to write a story about a box shell turtle, like in my series Turtle Town? I'll need to know more about real box shell turtles, kind of like this one. If I were to jot down some notes, I would probably include, he doesn't have webbed feet, so he's a tortoise. That means he stays on dry land. If we stayed around long enough, we would see that he can hide all the way in his shell, and he kind of looks like a rock when he does that. Great for protection. Here's how you would turn some of this information into fictional ideas for the story. The character, Snapshell in Turtletown the Green Room, is a boxshell turtle who loves the ocean and he loves to surf. So that means he has to wear flippers to be able to swim. Now remember how I said he can hide all the way in his shell? Check out this scene from the book to see how I can use that information in my story. At that moment, another loud roar echoed through the valley. That definitely wasn't me, Snap said. It sounded like it came from that patch of ferns near the river, Tula said and pointed to a bush that was moving. Does that bush have horns? Snap rubbed his eyes to get a clearer look. Then, the ugliest thing Snap had ever seen in his life emerged. A dirty, grunting, wild hog with fangs. The hog lifted up his head and drool hung from each tusk to the ground. The feral hog charged straight toward them. Snap grabbed Herbert with one hand and pulled Tula with the other, leaving his surfboard on the ground. Come on, guys, run! Snap helped the others run to safety, but when he turned around, the hog was inches away from him. All Snap could see was spit and those huge teeth. He had no time to waste, so he did what any boxshell turtle would instinctively do. His head, arms, and legs shot inside his shell. All that was left were his two flippers on the ground. The hog slammed into his shell with his head, causing Snap to slide across the ground like a hockey puck. He knew his shell was the only form of protection that he had against the feral hog, so he laid there, still like a rock. See how it works? Now you might be wondering, where's the setting of this book if they're running away from a wild hog? Well, believe it or not, they're actually on the big island of Hawaii. And in a few pages, they will arrive at a black sand beach. Kind of like this, which leads us to our next brainstorming idea, settings. When we gather ideas for settings, we definitely want to think about what makes a place unique. And in this case, the active volcano on the big island is what causes this black sand. Pretty cool, huh? Now, what about problems? Where will we get ideas for those? Maybe you've never had to run away from a lava flow and escape through a dormant lava tube like Snap had to in the story, but have you ever experienced somewhere where you weren't supposed to be? Or maybe really bad weather? You've got a lot of experiences that you may not realize that could help develop a story problem. So let's take lots of notes. I wonder how Snap felt when he had to run away from an exploding volcano. Probably nervous, worried, scared. How do you think he felt when it was over? I'm sure he felt relieved, thankful, excited. Good thing he found that lava tube to get away. That sounds like a solution and a problem if you ask me. Go ahead and spend some time today, later, when we're finished, brainstorming ideas for your character, for a setting, and some problems that you could put in a story. Be sure when you start to describe the setting that you use lots of visual words and utilize the 5 senses. Just so that you can hear what I mean, let's listen to one of our iWRITE poets.
Hi, my name is Sophie, and I will be reading my poem from this amazing anthology from Houston, Texas. And so before I begin, I want to say that someone who really inspired me to write was Shel Silverstein. His poems are really amazing. They're really interesting and funny, and they've really kept me entertained over the years, and he really inspired me to start writing poetry. So I will be reading my poem called My Lockbox of China. The peeling paint of nearby stores, tattered and torn like an open present. The warm, gooey taste of sticky rice cake, like Play-Doh nestling onto my tongue. The sweet scent of moon cake, wafting to my nose. Drool forming on the corner of my lips. The endless steps of the Great Wall, reaching up and up and up. Lazy lily pads loitering and lingering, and cracked ancient temples whispering somber secrets. My grandmother's smile blooming like cherry blossoms. My grandpa's voice gruff like gravel with a hint of softness, like hard frozen ice cream right before melting. I managed to grab hold and put all the memories in the lockbox of my heart. Something about this writing, or what inspired me to write this poem in particular, was actually, it's very interesting because I go to China a lot of times each year, or actually I go to China every year, and I really love the tradition there and how it feels like family to me, and so it really inspired me to write this poem. And last thing I want to say to wrap up is I love the iWRITE anthology, or the iWRITE organization actually, because I get to share my emotions and feelings with everyone out there in the world. And I love to have my poem published in a book full of short stories, artwork, and poetry. So there's a variety of feelings that can occur. And I really like that I can inspire others to start writing too. Just like Shel Silverstein inspired me to start writing. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Sophie. Hey, the guy. I see you brought a sketch pad and a pencil. Looks like you're ready to draw some characters. What would you like to learn to draw today? Let's ask your illustrator, Ryan Shaw, if he will teach all of us how to draw a kangaroo. Everybody, grab a blank sheet of paper. Let's do it.
Hello there, Illustrator Ryan Shaw here, and today we are going to draw a kangaroo surfer dude. Yes, you heard it right. We're going to draw this guy right here. So, get your pencil ready, get your paper out, and let's go ahead and get started and draw this guy. Okay, so as I do with all drawings, I always sketch out super light and I use a lot of shapes. So for the head, I typically do a circle shape for cartoony characters. Right here you'll notice I kind of did like a jelly bean shape, added the legs and the tail down towards the bottom. And now I'm kind of going back and forth, messing with the arms here, adding a little frame for the arms and the hands, and then going to the ears and the mouth and the eyes. I go all over the place when I draw. There's really no order you have to go in. The main thing is just building a frame for your character. If you notice right there, I put some shorts on the kangaroo. I thought that'd be a nice touch since he's a surfer. Maybe you want to put sunglasses on him. Be super creative when you do this. There's no right way or wrong way to draw your characters, just as long as you're having fun with it. And you typically just follow these steps to get just a little bit better at your art as you go. And what I'm doing here now is I'm sketching out the waves since I got pretty much the frame of the body. Now I'm going back to that nose because I didn't finish it up. Adding that in, and I'm adding the details into the ear there. And now I have the waves sketched out. And as you see, what I'm about to do next is add the dark lines. So that's why it's super important not to press hard when you're sketching out with your pencil, because it's harder to erase those original lines you put down. If you draw super light, at the end of this you'll see we're going to erase, and it'll keep the ink lines down, but it'll erase those light pencil lines that you have kind of fallen outside of those ink lines. You don't have to use a brush pen like I'm doing. I like using brush pens because they give me really thick to thin lines, and it gives it that cartoony style. But you can use a felt tip pen, ballpoint pen if you want, or a marker, or you can just even press down harder on your pencil and erase the stray lines you don't need. So all I'm doing is just going over, like I said before, just going over my sketch lines, and adding the fingers there, the thumb. I already did the arm above those fingers. Now I'm going into the next arm here, and I kind of just get any details I want to add as I go. But the sketching is just basically your foundation. It's your frame for your character. And now I'm putting down the final lines here. So it always helps out to sketch first and to sketch lightly. A lot of people are used to drawing the same way you write you do your handwriting. You're not doing that when you draw. You keep it really loose and relaxed. So that's the main thing. Just have fun. After a long day, sometimes, everybody has a rough day every now and then where just things might not be going your way. A great stress reliever is drawing. I have so much fun doing it every day, and it takes a lot of practice to get to a level where you think you want to get. And I'm practicing every day. I still draw every day because I want to improve as I go. You shouldn't ever think that you got to a level where you don't need to improve, because there's always room for improvement, and that's what I stress to my students. Just have fun and always strive to improve. So what I'm doing here, now that I got the surfboard's filled out, and the body and the whole kangaroo, I'm just doing the waves here. I'm adding a few droplets in between. You need to finish up the bottom of that surfboard line there, but as you see, I'm just kind of adding more of an illusion there that there's crashing waves all around this surfer that just happens to be a kangaroo. Maybe you want your guide to be a different animal. It's all up to you. The creativity is on you. But we're just about done with this character. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. I know I did. It's always a treat to draw cartoons. And with that, remember to always stay creative and have fun drawing. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.
That was so much fun. What if we developed the character even more so that all the kids at home can write their own kangaroo story? Let's create a character board. So go ahead and take a blank sheet of paper and turn it horizontally, and across the top you're going to write the word character board, and there's I the guy to help us out. And right below that you're going to go ahead and draw one horizontal line, kind of like this. And then about 2 inches below that, do another horizontal line. And then you're going to create columns. So you're going to end up doing 6 vertical lines in order to create 7 equally spaced out columns. And this is going to be where we put important information that we make up about our fictional character. Character boards are such a great brainstorming tool to use before you ever start writing a story, because this way you can get all of your ideas down on paper about your character. I'll even create separate character boards for all of my secondary characters as well, because it's important to develop them too. Now, at the top of each column, you're going to write out exactly what you see written on the screen. In that first box, write out character type and name. In your second box, you're going to write the word age and then the word gender, and then the words family members. Next, you're going to write, where do they live? So you're asking that question. And the word personality. In the next box, write special skill or something unique. These notes are going to remind you what you're going to fill in each of these columns. Our next one is biggest fear and weakness. Next, you're going to write out the words prized possession and some backstory. And then in that last one, you'll write best friend or sidekick. Now, you're going to be able to use this character board on your own fictional character that you brainstorm and create. But right now, we're going to go ahead and do an example. And since we all just learned how to draw a kangaroo, and that is the animal of I, the guy's choice for the day, we're going to go ahead and develop a fictional character that is going to be a big red kangaroo, and there he is, and we're going to name him Kip. A few other things to know about him. He's 16 years old, he's a male, and he has a mom, a pops, and lots of brothers. So you can probably guess he's from Australia, right? If he calls his mom Mum. And there you go. He lives in Sydney, Australia, specifically in an area called Bondi Beach. And then a little bit about his personality. He's laid back, he's social, he's a good friend, he's always in a good mood. Now we want to know something about him that is either a special skill or it makes him unique. When you start developing your own animal character later, you're going to want to do some research on that animal to figure out what makes them unique. So for Kip, unlike all of his brothers and his pops, who are pro boxers, Kip decided to do something different. He's a pro surfer, and he happens to be one of the best in Australia. I'm sure some of you have heard of boxing kangaroos, but maybe not surfing kangaroos. But this is fiction, so we can do all kinds of things, which is what makes writing so much fun. Now let's look at his biggest fear and his weakness. Kip does not like confrontations, which makes sense since he doesn't really like boxing either. And sometimes he doesn't stand up for himself, so his weakness has a little bit of a self-esteem issue. You definitely want to give your character a weakness, something for them to overcome so that they can grow and change by the end of the story. And this also makes them relatable to others. We never want our character to be too perfect. Now here's a fun one, a prized possession. So this is going to be something that the character cherishes, that they hold very dear to them. Maybe it was a gift or something passed down to them from a family member, that they would be very upset if they ever lost it. And you're gonna wanna share some backstory behind why it's so special. So for Kip, since he's from Australia, we're gonna say that he has a tradition with his family where they all play the didgeridoo, which is a wind instrument. Can you hear it in the background? That's what it sounds like. So how about we say that grandfather gave him this as a gift when Kip was a young Roo. It means a lot to him because every time he plays it, it reminds him of his grandfather and the times that he spent learning the didgeridoo from him. He also loves the tradition that he has with his family. These are just some examples of ways you can create a backstory for a character. And we need to give him a best friend or a sidekick. And obviously, I, the guy, really wants to be this kangaroo's friend. So it'll be I, the guy. Now it's your turn to fill in the bottom section of this character board with your own character. And I'm sure I, the guy, would love to be your character's sidekick as well. Now that you've seen how to brainstorm on a character board, you're on your way to turning your character into a story hero. So let's go ahead and see what makes a hero. When creating a story hero, we're not just talking about superheroes. It's basically the main character, and that means that it can be anybody. It doesn't matter how big or how small you are. In most stories, the hero is the protagonist, which means they're the good guy or the good gal. They're also the central character, so the story revolves around them, and they're the most active. You see them on every page. We get to follow them through the story and even experience some of the things that they're going through. Now, have you ever watched a movie or read a book where it almost felt like there were two main characters and you just couldn't tell which was which? Well, that's when you want to run the hero test. Ask these questions. Is that character a central character, the most active? Are they also making sacrifices? Because the hero ultimately saves the day at the end of the story. They have to make the tough decisions. The admirable qualities of a hero make us want to look up to them, and it definitely helps us respect the hero in the story. So when creating heroes, we want to make sure that they're likable. We don't want to make them dull or annoying or obnoxious. That means the reader's not going to really want to read too much more about them. But remember, you can't make them perfect. They still have to have flaws because we need them to be relatable. You know, most heroes have that one weakness that the villain always tries to attack. And ultimately, at the end of our story, the hero must grow and change. That's what character development is all about. So go ahead and make sure that you have copied all of this down in your brainstorming notebook. And then I would take a few extra minutes to create your own hero chart based off of your character. I hope you've gotten tons of ideas to start creating your own character, setting, and even a story problem. We had a blast today, and we can't wait to see you next week. But until then, keep reading, writing, and drawing. Bye.